So the last time I made one of these videos, my comment section rightfully informed me that I was wrong for including some of my opinions in my own ranking in my own video. So in order to prove my commitment towards my apology, I've made a couple changes for this video. The first one being, I have not ranked these weapons in the slightest. All of the placements for all of the weapons in this video have purely come from the votes of my community members in my Discord server. So if you are unsatisfied with the order of this list, sucks to suck, I guess. And the second one being, I'm not alone in this video as I actively have a help in one of my great friends, Llennox.
Hi everyone, my name's Llennox. You might know me from my series where I combine all the stats of respective class weapons in Team Fortress 2. Together in this video, we'll be going down and breaking down every scout primary, telling you a bit about the players who use them, and why we think the community have voted for their placement on this list. I will be covering the odd number placements, and Lon'qudor will be covering the even ones.
And with that all being said, I think we'll just get started. Please subscribe to both our channels if you're interested in seeing like-minded content and collaborations in the future, and let's start by covering what my community believes is the most casual scout primary. You know, I had a feeling this one was going to be pretty low on the list, so I'm actually rather satisfied that it's here. Yes, my community believes the backscatter is the most casual scout primary, and I believe there's a few good reasons for this. So the first one being is that this weapon generally isn't considered to be very good by anyone, and therefore most tryhards wouldn't be touching this thing with the barge pole. Now I feel the need to remind people that casual does not mean friendly, and tryhard does not necessarily mean a terrible person. A tryhard is someone who's trying their hardest to win, whilst on the other hand, a casual is just someone who's trying to have fun. And if you're trying your hardest to win, you're not necessarily going to be picking up this thing, are you? Now, the second reason as to why you might find more casual players using this thing is because it's actually really fun. The whole sneaking around to one-shot players from behind playstyle that this weapon incentivizes is really fun. I mean, a lot of scout players play scout purely because he's a very independent-focused class, and this weapon kind of takes that to the max, which I actually think is a really good time. And the final reason as to why you might see someone using this weapon in a more casual setting is because of hipsters. So there are a subsection of casual players who despise the meta and do anything they can to avoid it, just like me. And these players often end up defaulting to other weapons off to which they find really fun or are desperately trying to make work, and the backscatter kind of fits into both of those categories. So I really like this weapon, I really like how it plays, and I'm perfectly fine with calling this the most casual scout primary.
The Babyface's Blaster is a weapon that few take seriously due to its abysmal downsides that make its pretty cool gimmick essentially worthless. It's because of this that the weapon is generally used by those who are just casually messing around more so than those who are solely playing the objective. Now with this being said, there are a large subsection of Babyface Blaster Scouts who can be found trying their hardest to make the speed and bleed playstyle work for this weapon. This technically counts as a try-hard playstyle, but it's a subsection of tryhards who, at the end of the day, are dramatically held back by the weapon's limitations. So it deserves to be this low down on this list.
I'm willing to bet 5 good old English pounds sterling that you utterly forgot this weapon existed. The short stop is just one of those weapons that nobody remembers exists and therefore nobody uses, and I actually find this to be a really big shame. Now with that being said, the reason this weapon is in the middle of the road is because of one other weapon you can pair it with. And I speak with some authority on this because I actively use the short stop a lot more than most people. If you see a scout who has combined the short stop with the criticola, you are in the presence of a tryhard scout main. You are in the presence of a scout that has no respect for not only himself, but also everyone he is firing at. A scout main who relishes in the fact that you hate him and actively gets off on every single negative comment you make in their chat. And a scout main with an ego so large even Lizzo would struggle to eat it. Now if this is all true, which it 100% is, why isn't this weapon at the top of the list? Well, it's my understanding that we are purely ranking these weapons as they are, and we're not ranking these weapons in terms of their synergies with other weapons and playstyles overall. So by itself, the short stop is by no means the most tryhard scout weapon, yet when combined with the criticola, it could definitely be towards the top 2.
Force of Nature Scouts generally fall into one of two categories in playstyles: the Lesser Scunt and the Greater Scunt. Lesser Scunts usually aren't taking the objective very seriously. They're just messing around to have fun, often opting to play on maps with large open spaces to maximize the weapon's jump boosting potential. The extra movement capabilities that this weapon grants you are so much fun, and these players live that to the fullest. Now on the other half of the Force of Nature Scouts are the Greater Scunts, and are the main reason why this weapon is so high up on this list. These are the ones who spam the Lenny binds, going for the environmental kills, and generally just really loud and annoying. Greater Scunts try their hardest to ruin everyone's day. It is what they consider fun. Considering that they are at least trying their hardest to play the game in some capacity, that makes them eligible enough to boost the Force of Nature up to 3rd place.
Okay, so we just cut to black and there are only 2 Scout primaries left. Now you and I both know that these 2 primaries left are both staples of a tryhard Scout's loadout. But which one did my community think is worse? Well, let's find out, shall we? Yes, in a vote that I wholeheartedly disagree with, my community believes that the Soda Popper is only the 2nd most tryhard Scout primary. Without the slightest bit of doubt in my brain, I would have put this into 1st place, no questions asked. However, in an effort to make this a truly neutral vote, I did not want to sway my community one way or another, and therefore I did not give my opinions on any of these weapons when putting up the poll. So, without further ado, the Soda Popper is the 2nd most tryhard Scout primary as according to my community. So the average Soda Popper player is someone who claims to be playing for some sort of Highlander or competitive team, but in reality, basically just pub stomps because nobody in pubs can coordinate and therefore thinks he's a god at the game. Now there are a very, very small section of Soda Popper players who only use the Soda Popper because they like the increased jumps, and the way to tell them apart is if they have ever talked about burst damage before. If they have ever mentioned the words burst damage, Soda Popper, and God in the same sentence, they are a tryhard Scout main and generally not a very good person. It's a bit like how original tryhard soldiers desperately need to tell you at every second they get that the rocket comes out of the center of the screen and therefore is more consistent for pogos. This is basically the Scout equivalent of that. So yeah, when you run into a Soda Popper player, expect for him not to be a very nice person, expect for him to take the game insanely seriously, and at the same time expect to get completely and utterly rolled. However, as I have previously stated, this is not what my community believes to be the most tryhard Scout primary. There is one other that trumps even the Soda Popper in their eyes.
Consistency. A word that all great things aspire to be. It's nice if someone lives up to your expectations, but how commonly can it meet that requirement? And how many times does it let you down in between? I feel this is a philosophy that could be applied to most Scout weapons, and when it comes to consistency, the Scattergun is king. The Scattergun provides the most consistent damage out of all the Scout primaries. This consistency allows skilled players to capitalize on just how strong the Scout can really be when played effectively. The Soda Popper is great for burst damage, sure, but you have to be at a certain level of tryhard to acknowledge that the stock weapons are generally the best for all scenarios, and then fully embrace that in everything you do. Now granted, this is a stock weapon, so there will be naturally a larger collection of newer players who use this thing due to a lack of unlocks. However, ask anyone and they should agree, the pure consistency of the Scattergun makes it the magnet for those who want to try and push the limits of what they can accomplish in TF2, and by far makes it the most tryhard Scout primary.
Well, I think that will do it for this one. Thank you so much everyone for watching. My initial plan for this series was just to make fun of tryhards, yet the comments told me very well that they did not want that, so hopefully I've taken a lot of your criticisms on board. And also a humongous thank you to Llennox for joining me for this video.
Thanks for having me, Lon'qudor. If you're interested in hearing more of my voice and not Lon'qudor's beautiful voice, may I recommend this video here where I went around my town putting up posters and promoting Fixed TF2.
And if for some reason you're thirsting for more contrasts between the British and American accents, we did a collaboration over on Llennox's channel several months ago, after which we combined all of the stats of all of the sniper weapons. That video can also be found in the description below. Now with that all being wrapped up and done, thank you once again everyone for watching, and I will see you later down the sunny road.
If you look on screen now, it's my list from worst to best Scout weapons based on their sexual innuendo with their names.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to censor that first one.